Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Jared, and I've got a really fun topic to talk about with you guys. I recently just watched The Breakfast Club for the very first time. This was a movie that has been on my radar for so long, and I'm surprised that it's taken this long to actually get around to watching this movie, especially it being such a staple of the 1980s and considered by many to be one of the greatest teen comedies of all time. It is a very important film by encapsulating the youth of the 1980s and is a beloved classic in its own right, being written and directed by John Hughes, who made so many fantastic movies, both as a director and writer during the 80s. He made some of my favorite holiday films, such as Christmas Vacation and Home Alone, and so I was looking forward to this movie. Finally, I sat down and watched it, and I was really disappointed. This was a movie that I was really looking forward to, and it leads me into a deeper conversation that I want to have of that moment when you watch a film and you're just like, I don't get it, or I don't understand it. Because this has happened with so many people that I know, and I'm sure it's happened with many people out there as well, that have watched a movie, been excited for it, and have been so disappointed by it that it didn't live up to their expectations, and they question if the movie is even good, what people are thinking when they say that this movie is good or not. And that is a very interesting topic, and it really plays into just our own subjectivity, because we all look at movies a little bit different. We're all looking at different components. We all watch movies for various different reasons, and whether you like something or not, it just depends upon who you are as a person and what you're looking for. Take this for example. When I was in ninth grade, I decided that I was going to watch Citizen Kane, which is considered by many to be the greatest film of all time. Now, that is a large undertaking for somebody that is in high school in ninth grade. So I sat down, started that movie, and was incredibly bored when I originally watched it. I don't even think I finished the movie. I just didn't get it at that point in time. It wasn't until years later that I came back to that movie, rewatched it, and understood it as the classic that it is. However, there could have been an instance where I just still didn't get it. And you know what? I'm not the only one. I know a few people that have watched Citizen Kane and come away with just not getting it. They don't really care for it that much. And you know what? That's completely okay, because, again, we are not going to love every single film that we see, even if it is considered one of the greatest films of all time. That's what makes us human, in fact. We all have our differing opinions, and that is what is so intriguing to me. Because if I look at movies that people have talked about when it comes to, I just didn't get it, I notice that it is very easy to attack art films, particularly because those movies are very niche and they are for a specific audience, and they're not going to answer to every single person that watches them. There's some people that are just not going to get into a film like Mulholland Drive, for example, or my most recent review, The New World. It just completely comes down to taste, what they are looking for, and that is completely understandable because we all have the things that we are interested in. I, for myself, am pretty well-rounded when it comes to genres in movies. I like horror, I like action, I like comedy, I like adventure, I like pretty much everything, aside for a few westerns here and there. Most of the time, I feel like it is because we are not prone to a specific genre of film, so it's more likely that somebody isn't going to like an art film rather than somebody not liking something more crowd-pleasing or more beloved, like, say, an Avengers movie. So when I sit down in front of the camera and say that I don't really care for The Breakfast Club, that is interesting to me because it is this cornerstone of pop culture. It is a beloved movie of the 80s. People love it. It has a fantastic director and writer behind it. It has the Rat Pack. It has these young teens that are all put together into this one film and have such camaraderie with each other. It's like, how can you not like this movie? It's so tight, well executed, and so well defined. And for me, when I sat down and watched it, I just ultimately didn't care. And I think ultimately what that comes down to is I am not from the 1980s. I think that something like The Breakfast Club really speaks to somebody in the time period that the movie was released because it's so ingrained in the 80s culture. If you look at the movie, you have all the stereotypes that were present in the 80s that people really gravitate towards. You have the jock, you have the nerdy kid, you have the weird girl, you have the guy that's kind of mysterious and kind of a dick. And it's characters like those that are very well defined, and they're defined by those traits. And I can see an audience in the 1980s or even the 90s reflecting on these characters and understanding them. However, when I watched this movie, I just couldn't relate to them in any way possible. And that was really sad for me because I was liking the concept of it. I really liked that it was taking place in one day, in one location for the most part, and I liked the ideas on display. However, it wasn't really until the end of the movie that I felt like things were finally connecting together and working for me. There's a fantastic scene near the end of this movie where they kind of all let loose and talk about some of their darkest moments, and you get to understand them as characters rather than stereotypes. And that's where the film hooked me at the very end. And by that point, I had already really given up on it. It was disappointing, to be bluntly honest, and I'm really sad about that because I wanted to like this movie. And I'm sure that people with plenty of other movies out there that they really didn't care for, I'm sure they wanted to like those movies. They wanted to see what other people saw in it, and they just couldn't. And that's completely okay. Basically, that is the mantra of what this video is about. You can sit down and watch a movie and say, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And that is completely okay. That is completely understandable because sometimes we're just not going to get everything. Sometimes a movie just really isn't for us. And that is another thing altogether. Some people will even argue against that, saying that that is a terrible argument of, oh, you just didn't get it. And that is also problematic as well, because you can't just push onto people, oh, you didn't get it, when some people just don't. However, I feel like when it comes to film criticism and instances like this, especially when it comes to art house films, it is very easy to get very heated and toxic about talking about these things because it's really difficult. You want to like something and you want people to like the things that you like. And sometimes that's just not going to happen. That can be frustrating at times, but it's also something that we ultimately have to live with. There are movies that I have watched that I just don't really care for, that some of my friends have really enjoyed. Rogue One is an example, as well as movies like Ready Player One. I watch those movies and I say to myself, I just don't get it. And that can be frustrating at times, but I've begun to learn how to deal with it in a positive way, because even if I don't like something or don't really care for it, at least I can still appreciate those that see the things in those movies that they do like. And that is what's so fun about watching movies and having opinions on movies, as long as it doesn't get toxic, which it can very well get toxic at times. Yeah, this is really what I really wanted to talk about. I didn't want to do a full-on review of The Breakfast Club because I didn't want to be so negative about the movie, despite having a okay to positive response to the film. I did not hate The Breakfast Club. I don't think it's a terrible film or even a bad film. Really, it's just a movie that I didn't connect to in any personal way. I just don't see myself in the characters. I can appreciate the writing and what it was going for, but I just can't relate to them. And that's just me personally. I know a ton of people that are even my age that obviously didn't grow up in the 80s that do like this movie and do see themselves. And that's really cool too. That works for them, but it just didn't work for me. This is obviously going to go under my discussions tab, but I do want to at least provide a rating for this movie, what I thought about it as I watched it, and I'd probably give this movie about a 6 out of 10, which is, in my eyes, a pretty average movie. It's not that great, but it's not bad either. It's completely watchable. There are obviously plenty of people out there that will love this movie, that still love this movie, because it was a huge movie when it came out. It had a really big cultural impact and is considered one of the greatest films of all time. So it should be looked at as a very important film, despite me not enjoying it personally. But that's really all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this little discussion, because I think it is something worth talking about. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys. So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.